Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvada Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Deva Maheshwaraha Guru Reva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Gunatito Aksharam Brahma Bhagavan Purushottamaha Jano Janandidam Satyam Uchyate Bhava Bandhanat. Om Bhagavate Shri Swami Narayana Namaha. Om Shri Lakshmi Narayana Namaha. Om Shri Nar Narayana Namaha. Om Shri Radha Krishna Namaha. Om Shri Parabrahmane Namaha. Om Namo Narayanaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namo Hanumate Bhayabhanjanaya. Sukham Kuru Kuru Phat Swaha. Om Shri Sadgurubhyo Namaha. Welcome to Nitya Satsang. Today is the 4th of October 2025. I want to offer my prostrations to all the great sages, bhaktas, devotees, mumukshus, sadhakas, all who are striving for liberation and who are already liberated in this world. Also to all the sages who have come in the past, yet to come in the future, and to the same Paramatma residing everywhere at all times in the heart of all beings. With that prarthana, we are continuing by the grace of all the great sages, all the great devotees, and Paramatma, Parameshwar, Parameshwari. By Krupa, we are able to continue on a daily basis on the contemplative exposition on various subjects, and we are specifically looking at the Jivan Mukta Sthiti. And connection intermixed with that is the 10th Bhakti. The 10th Bhakti is called Prema Bhakti, Prema Lakshana Bhakti. Jivan Mukta Sthiti means living liberation, sustained state of living liberation. If you want to translate that, Jivan Mukta Sthiti is translated as sustained, non-fluctuating state of living liberation. इसको कहते हैं जीवन मुक्त. वो मुक्त बन गया है. The mumukshu has transitioned into mukta state. Remember the transition, if you remember from before, there are four levels of development: Pamar, Vishayi, Mumukshu, and Mukta. So from Vishayi to Mumukshu is a big transition. Mumukshu is one who seeks liberation, recognizes the limitations of Vishaya Bhoga, sensory enjoyments, recognizes the limitations of just running madly in this material world. Yeah, we do our activity. That's fine. All Kriya is done as Karma Yoga, as Seva, and then it is offered to Paramatma. So there's no binding, but there's also no rejection of the material world. There is the right kind of interaction that is called the right kind of karma. That is dharma plus karma. That is called the proper action. That it doesn't bind the individual, right? So that has to be looked at. This is what is meant by living liberation. Liberated being. Jivan Mukta. There's something called Videhi Mukta also, which I have not talked about. वो जरा difficult बातें explain करने के लिए, but we can try at some point. I'll mention just few points about that. Videhi means beyond body consciousness completely. So वो ऐसे जो संत है, like Guru Dattatreya ji, these are at the highest levels, Ramakrishna Paramahansa. They are not at all concerned with the body. Body is there. In fact, they have devotees or sevaks who maintain the body for them, because they have gone completely outside the physical and psychological consciousness. वो जरा अलग बात है, and they actually have to place effort. Some deliberate desire is maintained just to keep the body. Ramakrishna Paramahansa used to say he has maintained that sense of taste, wanting something tasty to eat. He has maintained that so that the body can remain here. Then that was only there for seva for the other people. He told his wife, Sharda Devi, the moment he leaves that, he will not live very long. The body will be gone. So that is a whole different matter. Hamari aisi sthiti nahi hai. It was totally opposite of that. Right? So this is called Videhi Mukta. If I'm saying that right. Deha means body, Videha Mukta. बट वो तो एंड पॉइंट की बात है. वो एक भगवान के अवतार जैसे होते हैं. दे आर नॉट एट द ह्यूमन लेवल इवन. वो एक टोटली बात अलग है. लाइक गुरु दत्तात्रेय जी was such a saint. He is an incarnation. वो भगवान के अवतार है, भगवान दत्तात्रेय. But his disciples used to put food in his mouth. Think about that. He would not even want to eat anything. So they would actually put some morsels in his mouth and then he will chew, and just to maintain, for the body to be maintained. They can leave the body anytime. The biggest thing about those highest level sages is that the body has been kept for some time. Like Sant Gnaneshwar only lived 18 years. 18 years. That's it. And look at what he gave to the world. He only came for this. It's a liberated being from the abode of God. Bhagavad Dham में, ब्रह्म धाम में वो रहते हैं, और वो यहाँ आते हैं by grace, by आदेश, by भगवत कृपा, to come into this world to give that spark of light and go back again. This is called like Sant Gnaneshwar. You see, so amazing, right? बड़े बड़े संत ऐसे ही है. लाइक सजानंद स्वामी महाराज, जिसको भगवान स्वामीनारायण कहते हैं, 49 years only stayed. He did his work and then the body is left. He sat in yogasana and left the body. It's like that. And the body is cremated in Lakshmiwadi in Garada. You can go there sometime. The same thing is true with so many sages. So they are only here to do certain activity, and because they're not actually here. They're here but they're not here. This is a very interesting thing. Even Gunatitanand Swami, भगवान स्वामीनारायण की जो संत परंपरा है, उसमें एक बहुत बड़े संत हो गए गुणातीतानंद स्वामी. तो वो क्या कहते हैं कि અહીંયા, he said in Gujarati, અમે તો અહીંયા દેખાઈએ છીએ પણ અમે અહીંયા નથી. I'm not really here. It's an appearance. It's a form that is taken. The real tattva is in the transcendental world, Akshardham, Brahmadham. ऐसी सब अलौकिक बात है ये. These are divine, very, very extraordinary distinctions between Jivan Mukta and Videhi Mukta. Videhi Mukta still has a body. हमारी जो ऐसी स्थिति हो जाए, if we enter by the grace of all the sages, Videhi Mukta, one of the most important things that happens is that all sense of differentiation goes away. You do not feel even the slightest difference between yourself and another person. That difference, not in terms of ego, but that sense that this person is here, that person is there. That sense of little bit of slight difference is there in the Jivan Mukta. That is not there in the Videhi Mukta because of the full realization of the Atman. The Jivan Mukta, of course, is also having continuous divine experience, anubhav. They are outside the realm of Jagrat, Swapna, Shushupti. So Jivan Mukta is their liberated living. They're living in the state of liberation. But they are not having even the slightest sense that there is a difference between oneself and another. Now what about in the Jivan Mukta state? Are they having that difference? Well, in some sense, yes. In some sense, no. In the sense that they are liberated from the entanglements of the three avasthas, yes, they are freed from that. But even in that liberated state, there's still that sense that, how can we say it? One can see the binding of another person, and one is aware of the liberation of oneself. That is not ego. Please, I have to be very careful talking about this, because this distinction is made by Bhagwan Swaminarayan in the very beginning of Vedras. What advanced subject, but I'm just mentioning it here to get it recorded, because it's not something which people generally ever talk about. ये बहुत ऊपर की बात है. ऊपर की बात meaning it's a very evolved state. It's not like some dimensional thing upward somewhere. It's not like that. It's an internal evolution. जीवन मुक्त स्थिति बहुत अद्भुत स्थिति है. हमारा लक्ष्य वो होना चाहिए. डोंट वरी अबाउट द विधेयी मुक्त स्थिति. वो तो जो आएगा तो आएगा. दैट्स नॉट नेसेसरी ऑल्सो. दैट इज नॉट फॉर ऑल ऑफ अस. वो एक भगवान के जो अवतार होते हैं, वो उनकी ऐसी स्थिति होती है. और भगवान के जो बहुत बड़े संत होते हैं, वो भगवत स्वरूपी होते हैं. दे आर इन दैट स्टेट. You see, so they are not at the human level. They are completely divine. They are completely infused with divinity. So are the Jivan Muktas, but they are at that point where they are living in total non-dual state. It is a living samadhi. It is as if they're in nirvikalpa samadhi, but somehow the body is living. It's like that. It's very, very unusual. It's very difficult to describe. Those very top-level saints have been like that in throughout the world. They have existed in every tradition, in fact. अद्भुत बात है इसकी उनके just even to understand that is a very big thing. To even talk about it, it's not easy to even talk about that because we're not, हमारे में ऐसी कोई पात्रता भी नहीं है कि qualification भी नहीं कि we can talk about such a thing. My God, ये बहुत ऊपर की बात है. But nonetheless, whatever research humbly Sachin has done here is just being presented here on this, and then it's a prarthana that Bhagwan keeps taking us forward. Now, having said this, today I want to talk a bit about Ashtanga Yoga and connection to the Jivan Mukta Sthiti and Prema Bhakti. You may have heard this before. Because there's a lot of confusion about all these yogas, we want to make it very clear. So Ashtanga Yoga is also called Raja Yoga, and this is described in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. There are 196, or sometimes they're classified as 200 Yoga Sutras. Athato Brahma Jignasa. This is the first, it's not, that's the first Brahma Sutra. The first Yoga Sutra is Atha Yoganu Shasanam, and then it begins Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. This first sutra, or sometimes it is called the second sutra, is the entire yogic system. Just in that, Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Chitta Vritti Nirodha means that our mental faculties are in a state of Nirod. Now what does that mean? Nirod means that they are completely non-disturbed, harmonized, equalized, all these things that we talk about in other programs as well as here. Nirod has a very interesting meaning, that the Chitta Vritti, the internal frequency of the mind, the content of the mind is not disturbing the sadhak at all in yoga. When the word yoga, the word is actually yoga, but we say yoga also, that's fine, no problem. So the word is yog in Sanskrit, and that means to connect. It comes from the word yuj. It has to do with connection. It is a connection. Well, who is connecting with who? Okay, in Bhakti, the Bhakta is connecting with Bhagavan. Yes, fine, no problem. The Gnani is connecting with Supreme Brahman. Yog means to connect. Yes, that's what that word means. So, Ashtanga Yoga is a process. It is an 8-fold process, 8-limbed process, which we can all benefit from. It's not like we cannot do this because all the yogas are ultimately connected together. So we can do it. We can do it in our own way. I'll explain today how that can be done. But it is called Ashtanga Yoga. It is not 8 steps, it is 8 limbs. And that's the difference. People think of it as 8 steps. You can think of it that way, but it's not really like that. It's 8 limbs. Why is it called Ashtanga? Why is it called Anga? Anga means limbs. Because it's all one. Just like this body that you see here, you have body also. Sachin has body here. There are limbs. There are hands and legs, and there's stomach and there's throat and there's different limbs, but it's all part of one body. Similarly, the Ashtanga Yoga means that it is one movement of psychological consciousness from bondage into Jivan Mukta state. Into the Nirvikalpa Samadhi is what is talked about in the 8th stage. Okay, so now, remember our goal here for the next half an hour, I'm going to try, by the grace of all the gurus, to try to connect Ashtanga Yoga with Jivan Mukta Sthiti and Prema Bhakti. Let's see what the triangle, what is the link there? So first of all, Ashtanga means 8-fold limbs. What are these 8 limbs? The first one is called Yama, Y-A-M-A. I'll explain all of them step by step. Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyan, and then the 8th one is Samadhi. Right? These are 8. This is called Ashtanga. The first one, Yama, has 6 foundational practices. And this is how Ashtanga Yoga works. If there is a problem in these 6, one cannot progress further into the other limbs. One gets stuck somewhere there. This is why the process of bhakti tends to be much more straightforward. But even in bhakti, this comes. If somebody will say, I just want to take Harinam, karo Harinam, but maintain Agnan, Vasanas, Rag, Dvesh, Aham, Mamatva, that will not work that way. If you maintain Harinam, it will remove everything. So that's another thing we'll talk about Bhakti Yoga at another time. It's the most fascinating connection between these two. But Yama, the first stage, has 6 points. That is Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya, and Aparigraha. These are 5. These are 5 parts or 5 qualities that are needed in the Yama stage. Let's look at each one of them. Non-violence, as Ahimsa, cultivating compassion, avoiding harm in thought, word, and action. See this quality. It's very useful for us. Sachin says, I want to reach Jivan Mukta Sthiti. Mukta Sthiti mein jana hai. भगवान की अखंड भक्ति करनी है, भगवान का साक्षात्कार करना है, किसी के साथ अहम, राग, द्वेष, क्लेश कुछ नहीं रखना, और भगवत प्राप्ति करनी है, भगवान के धाम में जाना है. This kind of perspective. The very first quality in Yama is Ahimsa. Ahimsa paramo dharma. First, of course, Ahimsa has karuna, daya, all those beautiful qualities. But watch out. Thought, word and action. क्रिया में हिंसा नहीं करनी किसी की. Not to hurt another person in any way. Very important, very practical. Right? In family life, in social life, in social circles, in work environment, every area. Whatever may be going on, maintain very steady energy, Shakti, maintain stability, भगवान के संत के चरण स्पर्श करना, प्रार्थना करना भगवान को कि हे प्रभु ये क्वालिटी हमारे जीवन में आ जाए. It is wanting the quality of ahimsa. And I have to look inside. It's called antar nirikshan, antar drushti. Looking honestly inside happens when a sadhak is trying to really connect genuinely with Bhagavan. So you will see how bhakti comes into all of this. That is the bridge. So Sachin's humble attempt here is to bridge the 9th bhakti, 10th bhakti into this, as well as the mukta sthiti. You'll see how beautiful it comes together. Because it is together, it's not separate. It's not separate at all. Right? So let's look at it carefully. As a bhakta takes the shelter of God, and that is also there, that taking that shelter of Paramatma is actually in the 2nd stage. But again, these are not steps. These all happen together in their own way. That is called Ishwar Pranidhan. That is the 5th point in the Niyama stage. We'll get to that later on. Very interesting. Now, how to do this? Take the quality of ahimsa. That it's not I. Just I is a real serious problem, using this pronoun I. But the quality, I'd like to use the word sevak instead. That's in many organizations they don't use this word I at all. When they talk to each other, they use the word sevak. Sevak aisa kehta hai, sevak. It's a beautiful way to, because that using that pronoun I is, you have to do it at times, for language purposes. But when we say that, our ahankar is already connected to that. So it's just a sadhana. It's not a big deal. It is nothing to worry about in that. But the point here is simply trying to make, when this bhakta, this sevak wants to have ahimsa, कि ये क्वालिटी आनी चाहिए, मेरे जीवन में ये क्वालिटी चाहिए, सद्गुण, ये बहुत बड़ा गुण है. It's an extraordinary quality. It's not a small thing. So really I want this quality. Now visualize by the grace of all the sages, इसकी स्थिति कैसी है? What does that ahimsa जीवन look like? हाँ, वो देखने चाहिए. This is one of the arguments for vegetarianism. We were talking about that before. Some people say that I want to be vegetarian because I don't want to cause harm to the animals. So that is one way to look at it. If you look at it another way also, okay, this is just part of Prakriti, it is part of, Jiva Jiva Sajivanam, Om, Brahma Arpanam, and then just to have that food for the sustenance of the body because it suits the body. You can look at it that way. I think maybe Vivekananda Swami and even Ramakrishna Mission, they may be looking at it that way. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it could be. There's different perspectives on this, right? I don't want to get into the vegetarianism thing, but my point is that we have to find out for ourselves what is ahimsa in action. First of all, kriya. Kriya mein hinsa hoti hai. Very important, right? If in the world the politicians got together, all the countries got together and said, we want to follow this one ahimsa rule, all the world's wars will stop right away. Kitni सीधी बात है. कितना जीव में कितना अहंकार, problems. We don't want to describe too much. It's been going on for millennia, and it will continue also, because this knowledge, wisdom is not sparked in the minds of the masses. People live based on that ahankar dimension. I want something from you, and if I don't get it, I'm going to cause harm. तो वो तो सब जगत में ऐसा चलेगा, because that is the Pamar and Vishayi level, the first two levels. And उसके लिए प्रार्थना करनी चाहिए. उनके लिए प्रार्थना करो, not with ego, by the way, that I'm something great. No. उनके लिए प्रार्थना करो, भगवान सबको सद्बुद्धि दे. Big saints, this is another point to keep in mind. जीवन मुक्त जो बन गए हैं, they always wish well for all, but they don't get stuck with all the ignorance of all. See this point. Sachin is telling Sachin only, this person, because this is a very tricky point. Wishing well for all, like in the Swaminarayan Sampradaya, there was a Pujya Yogi Ji Maharaj. बहुत बड़े संत हो गए. उनका आप pictures देख सकते. You can just Google. You'll find beautiful pictures of him. He's just lost in God completely. Amazing saint, संत हो गए. बहुत बड़े संत हो गए. ऐसे कितने amazing संत हो गए, right? ठीक है. ये स्थिति की बात है. So he would say throughout the day, भगवान सर्वनु भलु करो, भगवान भजी लेवा. These were two sutras. He had all amazing qualities within him, but he lived by this. Sachin can also say, may God bless all, may all succeed, may all progress, may all good things happen to all. I can give lip service to it. But is it coming from inside my heart? And it is coming like that, hour to hour, moment to moment, without any break? ये जीवन मुक्त की बात है. भगवान सर्वनु भलु करो. Sarva means all. This is a Gujarati phrase. He used to say this. Yogi Ji Maharaj used to say this constantly. His life was brimming with saintliness. The 64 qualities that are written in the Hari Gita, they are extraordinary of saint. Sant ke 64 lakshan. It's amazing. Just to even, and we didn't finish that list. I think it was like a year and a half ago. In our morning satsang, I went through 7 or 8 of them, couldn't finish them. Then we had to do some other topics and all that. Sometime karenge Bhagwan ki ichha se. We always wish we had 7-8 hours a day to do this. Kabhi hoga Bhagwan ki ichha se. Sab recording ho jayega. Because this is the amrut. Ye Sanatan Sanskriti mein humko amrut mila hai. Now we have to drink it. That's it. So this is the point. Yogi Ji Maharaj used to say, Bhagwan sarvanu bhalu karo. See, this is ahimsa, how this applies here. Bhagwan bhaji leva. वो जीवन मंत्र बन गया उनका. He didn't say, may God bless only few people, these people, this people. You know how we say, God bless America, Bharat Mahan, all this. This sab agnan hai. This has no concept in spirituality. All this thing about nations. There's no nation. Which nation is there? This is only human created stuff. We live in that, but उससे बाहर निकलना चाहिए. हाँ, J. Krishnamurti talked a lot about this. Get out of these boundaries we have created. Prema Bhakti, Srimad Bhagavatam. Prema Bhakti, what is Prema Bhakti? The 10th Bhakti. That is where all the boundaries vanish. They're there. We go into outer space. Do you see any boundary between all these countries? We have created that because of Agnan, because of division, because of dislike, because of overpowering, and because of not realizing what is ahimsa. Ahimsa जो quality है, ये अष्टांग योग में first quality. If that is not realized, everything is fallen apart. कुछ भी नहीं हो सकता आगे. This is the first quality. Out of the yama, it is the number one foundation, ahimsa. Ahimsa paramo dharma. Every tradition in Sanatan Dharma, with all the sub-traditions, have value for ahimsa. वो पाया है, it is the base actually. And it has to be solid. बहुत solid बनाना है इसको. Ahimsa. Somebody gets upset at home, be very steady. Speak compassionate language. Don't react from inside. We are tested on this day to day. And when situations are going on, to bring karuna, compassion, silence, steadiness, the internal agitation does not happen. That is the sadhana. So it is a practice. It is a yogic practice. Non-violence. But again, this is a translation. It's not the fully accurate translation. Because the translation needs a lot of exposition. We say violence. We think of violence in terms of guns and weapons and all that kind of thing. वो तो है. But look at the way the rishis have described ahimsa. That physically being violent towards, this is at the physical level. But there's two more levels. The next is the verbal level. शब्द से. कितना difficult है. People are using foul language. They say something negative. Even to speak one negative sentence about another person in any context is a type of violence. एक भी sentence, even one sentence spoken about anybody else in a negative way, sometimes you have to differentiate some wrong things going on, whatever. But from inside that feeling comes, this person is like this, and this some kind of a harmful statement made. You know what that does? It destroys our punyam. Let's say, for example, Sachin here has done 11 rounds of this mala. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Sadhana ki hai, whole day, let's say. Maybe for an hour. And then in the evening, somebody calls me. And then I say one sentence to that person about somebody else. That this person is like this person is, some negative comment is made. Not a beneficial one, because my ahankar became active. That 11 rounds of mala goes to zero. Right away, it goes to zero. Think about this. Sachin is telling Sachin, watch out for these things. बहुत dangerous बात है ये सब. Either dangerous meaning if we are wanting to evolve into the highest levels of human development, it's going to require great deal of attention on our activity. और जो mistake होती है, fix it and get up. Don't get stuck in that. Mistake होगी. Don't keep dwelling on that mistake. Recognize it. Get up. बहुत प्रार्थना करना, hey Prabhu. If that happens, some negative thought comes, Bhagwan ko danvat. You know how people do this? How sadhaks do this? Sometimes they go to mandir में जाते. With one mistake, 108 pradikshana करते. Because of that one mistake. Are we doing that? किसकी तैयारी है? किसको जीवन मुक्त really बनना है? ये कोई खेल नहीं है आध्यात्म. It's not some child's play. It is a very big development from inside. And to go into that development, to recognize how to do that, to recognize the small mistakes, it's small or big. If it is a diversion from the yogic model, it is a mistake. And it is going to chew up and damage our sadhana. Damage punyam, that's one thing it will damage, but it will also damage our connection to God. Are there negative things going on in the world? Yes. Are there problems in the world? Yes. Why to speak something negative about somebody? Take that situation, turn it into positive. Again, I refer to Yogi Ji Maharaj again. उनकी वो mastery थी. बड़े बड़े संत ऐसे होते, and we have to learn from this, all of us, how to take something negative that is clearly out of control and negative, and to turn it into positive, and to turn that same thing, turn that into a good quality, to find a way to see that in a new light, and not take the avgun of that. Even though you know the person or whatever situation is there, pray for that person. You may not do what they're doing, obviously, because they're doing something harmful, but turn it around. Guru Dattatreya Ji was a master at this. This is how they reached that mukta state. Guru Dattatreya Ji had 24 gurus. ऐसी संत की स्थिति होती है. संत की स्थिति इस स्थिति की बात. स्थिति means state of realization. It is not about expositions and just talking. Yeah, we need to do all that. We have to do it. But it is about actual realization. So this quality of ahimsa. If a negative thought comes, that's the third level. First is the physical, the physical level. I've seen this in my life. I won't give any names, obviously. Something is not made properly at home or someplace. Kitne krodh aa jata. I've seen in restaurants also or other places. Something is not right in the home. Kitna anger, krodh, अपशब्द. कभी भी ये करना नहीं. Anybody who has given us food, वो भगवान का स्वरूप है. And then to use foul language, why this is made like this and this is not right, and ऐसी सब वृत्ति, इससे दूर रहिए. Stay away. This kind of thing is extraordinarily damaging to human civilization. कभी भी एक करना नहीं. And here's the real secret behind this. If one person in a big family, extended family, reaches a true state and stage of ahimsa, it will have profound impact on all those around. That this person is not getting lost and trapped in these reactions. It's like a lit, beautiful candle, jyot, divya jyot. वो jyot हमारा स्वरूप है. See, again, we're just only talking about ahimsa. We might need a whole year to talk. ये तो बात ऐसी amazing बात है. But it's a matter of application. It's not just going through lists and reading material. It has to do with realization. That I have to see in my life, in my day, today, how much ahimsa is there, or is there any hinsa in word, action, and deed? And in thought, word, and action. Thought. That third level is mansik level of hinsa. My God. That's the most difficult one. Because our mind is very fast. It finds fault right away. How much time does it take to find somebody's fault? It finds fault like we cannot imagine. It finds fault so rapidly, so quickly, because it is conditioned to find fault. That is why, our entire psychological framework is based on ahankar, is based on me versus you, how I can be better than you, and this kind of stuff is right from childhood. It is there. Our whole psychological makeup is like that. And to turn that around into maybe recognizing deficiencies in others, but not to internalize, not to find anybody's fault, and particularly with ahimsa, not to have a negative thought about somebody else. Negative thought, negative feeling, even about oneself. The memory, TEMDE, thought, emotion, memory, desire, energy. Thought, emotion, memory. So in our own memories, there are all kinds of things that that are stored there, and we start self-blame, shame, guilt, that analysis. ये करने की क्या जरूरत? This is a self-violence. See this point. It is a self-violence. There's an external violence towards others, and then there's an internal violence by over-analyzing the content of memory. What good will come out of it? Look at it, see it, learn from it, move on. Don't be stuck over there. See, so Ahimsa, the first quality in Yama. Yama doesn't mean that Yamraj, that god of death. That's not what this means. This is another word in Sanskrit that means ethical action, ethical restraint. But again, restraint in what? You can use this word restraint. I don't like that word very much because of the conflict that it can create. We don't want to be in a state of internal conflict between restraint and indulgence and that kind of thing. It is resonance. You heard me say this, you heard Sachin say this many, many times. The word resonance and absorption, these two words are beautiful. For humbly speaking, for that makes a lot more sense to me, and that prevents the internal conflict from inside. I'm trying to be ethical. See, the ahankar is there. Isko chhod do. There's no I trying to be anything. That will cause another problem. So we don't want that. So the absorption in the quality. Ahimsa quality kaisi hai? Bade santon ki quality. Like I was mentioning Yogi Ji Maharaj. If you go to any Swaminarayan temple, particularly the Baptist temples, and there's some other offshoots, you'll see Yogi Ji Maharaj. उनकी एक फोटो है, उनकी एक पिक्चर है, और you can Google. और वो संत ऐसे थे, वो अद्भुत स्थिति के संत थे. You see, he's an extraordinary saint. You see, so the point is, he lived the quality lived in every pore of his body-mind complex. Constantly, he's holding, that quality is erupting continuously. It's not like, for a few hours, somebody has that quality of ahimsa, and then it diminishes and waxes and wanes and goes up and down. No, not like that. The mukta sthiti jisko kehte hai, or prema bhakti, is such that this quality of ahimsa doesn't increase and decrease. It remains 100% blossomed like a beautiful rose that does not diminish its blossoming. The blossoming remains eternally. Eternally blossomed rose. That is Mahalakshmi. इसीलिए हम पुष्प, when we offer flowers at the feet of Bhagwan Krishna, Bhagwan Narayana, Shri Radhika Ji, we offer the flowers, fully blossomed fresh flowers. Isn't it so? Why? Because of this reason. The fresh flowers that are offered, blossomed flowers, that is a representation. It is a bhav inside. It is a beautiful representation, and it is a beautiful visual also, and the sugandh and everything, of what? Of the continuous blossomed state of divine qualities that do not diminish. There is no falling down. Like in the case of Yogi Ji Maharaj, I mentioned this example. In fact, the greatest quality he had, he was not aware he was Yogi Ji Maharaj. People called him that. He is totally seva. You'll be surprised to listen to some of the incidences from his life. हमारी बुद्धि नहीं चलेगी कि ये कैसे संत थे. That's because these qualities are 100% blossom. और बहुत सूक्ष्म बात है. ये जो मेंटल लेवल की जो बात है, दिस मेंटल लेवल ऑफ अहिंसा, माय गॉड, ये क्या बात है. I don't want to give any names, but look at some of the politicians. When you mention some particular politician's name, people have strong reaction, negative reaction, this reaction, whatever, throughout the world, jo bhi hai. Can we live outside that domain? All we have to do is turn on the news and see the ahimsa. Is there ahimsa, or what is there inside our mind? Confusion and anger and dvesh and this and that. And क्या होता है हमारा अंतःकरण, our own mind, because of our ego and because of the lack of this quality, is getting polluted it is getting ashuddha, it is getting polluted, it is destroying that quality. It's like having that beautiful rose, and throwing a spoonful of dirt on there. Kya point hai iska? Not to do that. The quality of ahimsa is so fantastic that it is a doorway into the Jivan Mukta state. It is a doorway in Ashtanga Yoga. It is the first quality in Yama. And without this, there is no spiritual progress. There is none. Kabhi bhi nahi ho sakta. Possible hi nahi hai. The moment there's negative thinking about somebody, if that is happening, and it will happen, probably, negative thinking, feeling, immediately turn it around. Mantra jap karna. भगवान का नाम लेना, भगवान के संतों को याद करना, बहुत प्रार्थना करना अंतर से कि हे प्रभु, ये जो विचार आ गए क्षमा कर देना, and let that, and don't analyze that thing further. Don't keep analyzing that. Keep the attention on the quality, on the highest realization, on the Swarup of Paramatma. Wahan attention rakhna. Eventually that will transmute. Eventually ahimsa will blossom from inside out. It is a blossoming Brahma Sthiti, Esha Brahmi Sthiti Partha. I keep mentioning this verse. It's the last verse in chapter 2 of the Gita. ये स्थिति की बात है कि not just repeating shlokas and verses and repeating information. The information is available to everybody. It's not about information. It's about realization. There's no end to amount of information. Information से क्या करेंगे क्या इसको? How much is realized, that is the only thing that is important, not the quantity of information. There's a voluminous, oceanic amount of information available. In everything, on everything, in every way. What are we going to take from that? So it's like, if you have billion pieces of coal and there are 10,000 diamonds in that, what would you choose? Recognize the diamond, take the coal. The diamond was also a coal at one point. But value mein kitna farak ho gaya? You will take the pieces of diamond and leave the coals where they are. These qualities, sadgun, divine qualities like ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha, shaucha, santosha, we'll go through these. Fantastic. Tapas, Ishwar pranidhan. एक से एक अद्भुत क्वालिटी है. These are the diamonds of spirituality. कहते हैं कोहिनूर मणि. That's what they are. If you want to experience anandam, premananda, brahmananda, nityananda, divya ananda का जिसको अनुभव करना है, this is the doorway. These qualities are absolutely necessary, and they're already, here's the other interesting point, they are already dormant within us, maybe active to some extent. Make them fully active and see the magic, see the ananda that is there in life. इसको कहते हैं भगवान की कृपा, संत की कृपा, माता जी की कृपा, शिव जी की कृपा, हनुमान जी की कृपा, कृष्ण की कृपा, राधा जी की कृपा, जीसस की कृपा, जो भी है, गुरु Nanak Dev ki Krupa, all the big sages that have come. Krupa is what? It's the opening of the qualities from inside. That is Guru Krupa. Guru is the internal opening of these qualities. Satgun. Isko kehte Sadguna Purana. Parama Viveki. And on top of that, Guna ko manana ave, soi jana sant kahave. मुक्तानंद स्वामी का ये, स्वामीनारायण भगवान के जो बहुत बड़े संत थे, उन्होंने ये पद लिखा है. सदगुण पूर्ण परम विवेकी, गुण का मानना आवे, सोई जन संत कहावे. It's just amazing actually. Let me see if I can find that for you. Just give me 1 second here. Soi jana santa sada mohe bhave. This is the bhajan actually. Soi jana santa sada mohe bhave. I'm going to show it to you. Give me just a moment because I want to show the. So this Guruji is the current guru of in the BAPS. So you can see the lines at the bottom there. Santa jana soi sada mohe bhai Muktanand ji ka pad hai. बड़े संत Now see the meaning there. Deha indriya mana adika ke sanga mein nahi lapatave. This is what we're talking about. Our mind and internal complex, all this stuff. The person, the santa, true saint, doesn't get stuck inside that vortex of the mind-body complex. That's an amazing sthiti hai. Sanga mein nahi lapatave santa jana soi sada mohe bhave santa jana soi sada mohe bhave kama krodha aro lobha moha vasha kama krodha aro lobha moha vasha hoyana Now see that sentence there, Kama Krodha Aru Lobha Moha Vasha Hoina Mana Lalachave means what? We are activating our mental energies in Kam, Krodh, Lobh, etc. So the saint is one who doesn't do that. He is aware of not doing that and keeping energies and mental activity intact, not to damage the internal development. See, there's only 4 or 5 lines. It has the entire spirituality in these 5 lines here. Oops, sorry. Hold on one second here. What happened there? That sentence, Mero hi dhyana ratana mukha mero so taji anya na jave. That Muktanand Swami says that such a saint keeps attention on Paramatma and doesn't deflect from there. So taji anya. Usko taji means it does not relinquish that connection with Paramatma. You know, like that Chakor Pakshi doesn't relinquish that connection with Paramatma. So taji anya na jave. In other places, in other diversions, it doesn't go there. I say, if we do this, go into this, you become an enlightened. That is a wo sthiti hai. That is a mukta sthiti. That is the whole eye on the prize right there. And this saint you're seeing in the video, this is the current Gurudev Mahan Swamiji. This sentence, Shara Akshara Aru Akshara Paraki Sabahi Samaj Uralave. That means the entire Tattvagnan of Jeev, Ishwar, Maya, Brahma, Parabrahm, ये सब अंतर में वो रखते हैं. वो ज्ञानी, महाज्ञान की स्थिति इसको कहते हैं. Whole spirituality is in this one. It's called a pad. It's a poem actually, written by Muktanand Swami 240 years ago. This is the line I was referring to. Sabaguna Purana Parama Viveki. All, just all 64 qualities, all amazing saintly qualities are 100% inside. Think about Sabaguna Purana. Purana means 100% saintliness. And with that, there's Param Viveka. What is that Viveka? Between Satya, Asatya, Jada, Chaitanya, all different kinds of Viveka. That discrimination between real, unreal. That which is the Atman, not the Atman. All that Vedantic knowledge, that Vedantic realization is there. With these qualities, It's extraordinary. This is one of the most fantastic poems ever written in the history of the world. This is the most dangerous part. This guna ko mana na aave. Qualities begin to come about. Iska ahankar aata hai. Look at me. Look at this. Look at this. Because of that sense of that sense of ego still is there, lurking of ego behind the amazing qualities. Now you might ask the question, how can amazing qualities come about with an ego? But that ego is subtly hiding there somewhere. Guna ko mana na aave. Qualities are erupting. There is no ahankar that is at all coming of those qualities. कितनी डिफिकल्ट बात है ये. हमारे बुद्धि में नहीं आएगा ये. इसका मीनिंग क्या है? It requires कृपा to even understand, for this to even open. Now, Muktanand Swami has defined it there. That Muktananda kahate you Mohan, hey Mohan meaning Bhagwan Krishna, that this, with all these qualities, there are only 4 or 5 lines here. This is called saint. Isko kehte hai sant. Sant is not by clothes or by tilaks and malas and all those things. Saint is by these qualities. And these qualities, once they come about, there is no ahankar of those qualities. Kya badi baat hai. Ye bahut adbhut bhajan hai. Is par you can do exposition for millions of lifetimes on these 5 lines. That's how powerful it is. That's how extraordinary it is. Sthiti. इसको कहते हैं स्थिति, इसको कहते हैं ब्राह्मी स्थिति, इसको कहते हैं जीवन मुक्त स्थिति, इसको कहते हैं प्रेम भक्ति, इसको कहते हैं परम ज्ञान. It's all combined together in the most extraordinary ways. So with that, let's stop here for now. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvada Om Gangadapate Namaha Shri Radha Krishna Arpanamastu Om Aim Rim Klim Chamundai Viche Om Durge Durge Rakshini Tha Tha Swaha Shri Durga Arpanamastu Om Rim Swaha.